This is Dr. Peter Grinspoon. Thank you so much for coming to my channel and to listening to Grinspoon on Drugs, where we debunk myths about drugs. We talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and we talk about the benefits as well as the harms. Today, we're going to be talking about opiates and pain control. How do you treat pain control if someone has had an opiate addiction? Before we get started, if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please press the subscribe button on the bottom right, and then you can have access to all of these videos. So I am 18 years in recovery from an opiate addiction. And it was very interesting to me, this whole topic of how do we treat pain control during an opiate addiction. Now, there are 10 million people who are recovered in this country from an addiction, and there are 10 million other people with an active addiction. So at 20, 25 million people, it's a ton of people that are potentially going to be facing the situation of, like, you break a bone, you have surgery, you get into a car accident. How do you treat pain? Now, the traditional response of doctors has been like, oh, we don't want to trigger the addict. Let's not give them pain control. And the problem with this is severalfold. Number one, it's barbaric, it's inhumane, and it violates our oath of do no harm. I mean, if someone's in excruciating pain, you have a moral and ethical obligation to treat their pain. Secondly, in my experience, people with chronic pain or addiction, if you don't treat them adequately, they treat themselves, because nobody could tolerate untreated chronic pain. And that's where you have people buying pills on the streets or fentanyl on the streets and overdosing. So we have a moral imperative and a clinical imperative to treat people who are in pain. Now, there's a very big difference between having been addicted, between like taking 2 pills every 6 hours for pain after surgery, than like snorting 10 pills when you're in emotional distress to try to get high. They're completely different things. And I say that the most important thing is, certainly in conjunction with an addiction consult team, certainly in conjunction with a pain control team, both of which we have at any good hospital, we need to come up with a plan to treat people who have addiction, who are in addiction, or who are recovered from addiction. We need to come up with a good plan to adequately and humanely treat their pain. Part of it depends on how strong their recovery is. If they, like me, have been in recovery for 17 years, it was just not a big deal recently when I got mowed down by a psychiatrist who was driving without her lights on and broke my leg. It was not that big a deal for me to have pain pills 16, 17 years into my recovery. Other people, if they feel like it's challenging, can set up safeguards. For example, you could store your pills in a locked box, and you could have your loved one give you 1 or 2 every 6 hours, so you don't have the temptation to take them all, get high, and even worse, then you're out of pain control and you don't have any more pain control pills. The more you could take the pain pills responsibly, the more we could beat back the stigma of, like, people who have had an addiction shouldn't have any access to pain medications. And we can help educate and evolve the medical profession to treating everybody who's in extreme pain humanely. This is Dr. Peter Grinspoon, Grinspoon on Drugs. Thank you for listening.